Welcome to the section entitled Browsing Cloud Marketplace Catalog and Viewing Solution Details. Google Cloud Marketplace essentially is a tool that Google provides that allows one to deploy third-party solutions into your GCP project. So in this case, they can deploy things like VPCs, GCE instances, databases, also pretty much the full assortment of things that you can deploy through Google Cloud Platform. But the idea is that you basically click a button and they deploy it all for you. And there's basically, when you do this, you pay for your own infrastructure charges, meaning you pay for your own fees for the GCP resources that you've accumulated, so that you pay that. And you pay optionally an additional upcharge for the product itself. And I think the easiest way to see that is to look at the marketplace and just see a couple options. So from project here, I can look for Cloud Marketplace. I think Google Cloud Marketplace is where you go. Explore the marketplace. So it's not, it's interesting. It almost kind of kicks you out of the console. So you have to select a project that you're going to deploy to, right? Then you have to look for a product. So I'm going to look for WordPress, which is basically a kind of a web hosting platform. WordPress, and you can see you have a number of options, right? So one option is this first one, Open Light Speed WordPress. You click on it and you can see information about it. In particular, you can see pricing. So basically there's no fee to use this marketplace solution, but they do make an estimate on when they construct all the resources in your project. You're going to pay essentially for a VM, a disk, and that's about it, right? So it's only about $4 a month. Compare that to, let's go back. Excuse me. Another WordPress option. This one, a little more expensive. They're looking at $120 a month. So what they do is they fire up a more beefy CPU VM instance that costs you $69 a month. There's your disk. But then they also have an upcharge of $65 per month for support, right? And in this case, they have an email support you can have, and they have their own documentation potentially. Okay, so that's sort of the nuts and bolts of how do you, what the marketplace is, how do you kind of find stuff. I think the next thing I want to do is just go ahead and just launch one of these things and see what it does. So if I hit launch, it's going to go into like a wizard to ask you some questions about, where you want to launch this and whatnot. So I'm going to leave pretty much, I don't want to be in Asia. I want to be in the US because I'm here. So I usually use US Central C for everything. Well, let me use something. Well, that's fine. US Central C is fine. I'm going to leave all the defaults. So N1, F1 micro, boot disk, networking. Okay, I'm gonna leave all the defaults, allow traffic from internet. Okay, so I'm gonna pretty much leave all the defaults otherwise. And I just hit deploy. And this will take a minute. So let me pause the video and then we'll come back to the screen and see when it's done spinning what we see. Okay, that only took a few seconds. So you can see now, you're looking at a screen and you can see some resources here. See, overview, VM instance, some firewall. So basically this is telling you the resources it created actually, right? There's a VM instance, a firewall, and some firewall configurations, right? Now, what I'm going to show you here is you notice that you're on a screen. You're not really in the cloud marketplace now. You're in something called Deployment Manager. So let's talk briefly about what Deployment Manager is, because under the hood of Marketplace is Google Deployment Manager. So if I go back to my here, so Google Deployment Manager basically lets you, and you can create your own deployments, right? But in this case, we are using a third-party one. But what it is basically let you do is basically deploy units of GCP resources that you can install all at once, or you can remove them all at once. So you can treat them as a unit. That's basically what it is. And in a future video, we'll talk about writing our own, basically, and I'm not sure what they're called, but you'll build your own deployment. Well, it is called a deployment. You'll build your own deployment, and then you can deploy it also instead of using a third-party one. So to illustrate that, right, this actually did things. So let's see. It looks like I'm expecting to see a VM instance. So if I was to go back underneath Compute Engine, I'm expecting to see a VM instance running here. And there it is. And you can see how it's named after the deployment, right? And then there was also some firewall rules, I think. So if I was to go underneath, see, firewall, VPC, where's VPC? VPC firewall. So you can see it added 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 firewall rules in addition to the 4 default, right? Now, the last thing is how do you uninstall this? So you don't need to go to Cloud Marketplace. You need to go to Deployment Manager now. Oh, yeah. Well, I'm curious. Let's go back to the Cloud Marketplace I don't think you can delete it from here. Here's Google Cloud Marketplace. That's not where I wanted to go. I'm trying to find the marketplace here. Oh, I guess I already have it over here. Explore Marketplace. Select a project. WordPress. So you can't really do anything like here other than, I guess you can view your last deployments. Oh, it basically just brings you to the deployment manager. So basically what you need to do, and then they filter it based on their label, right? So all that did was just bring you to the deployment manager, which I could have directly gotten to by finding deployment manager from the console. So to delete it, you just select it and hit delete. And then say delete all resources created by it, such as VMs, or you can delete the actual deployment in manager, but keep all the resources. But in this case, I really want to delete everything. And then after a few minutes, this will just all go away. So I think that's really the nature of this video. So we're done.